Anytime you see a topic like that, you know I'm probably going to speak on existentialism. And these things have to be done a month ahead of time. We're working to get 2 or 3 months ahead of time so we can get more music and discussions and all that. But I realize spring's going to be over in a couple, 3 weeks or something. But this is about how I've been living, about 3 or 4 months behind. And some of you, like older people used to say, as you get older, time moves fast. Well, this is kind of where I am, thinking, well, it's just spring, and it's already where the end of spring and summer will be here. I want to use 2, gosh, there were a lot of religious services on this morning. I woke up at 7 o'clock. And every major, CBS, ABC, Channel 17, all the stations had lots of services going on Sunday morning. And I realized that Sunday morning, no wonder it's Sunday morning. But I was kind of looking for the best, and it's getting better out there. It's getting better. Some Sundays are better than others. But I want to use 2 statements from my text. The first one is a statement attributed to Ralph Waldo Emerson, American transcendentalist. He says, life is fundamentally experiment, and the more experiments, the better it is. And the other is I want to use something from Jean-Paul Sartre, who says, basically, that life, which I believe strongly, that being alive, being here, is fundamentally a series of projects. And that's what life, that it's projecting oneself and moving from one project to another, and I believe that that's also about life. This congregation began in 1976, and by 1978, 1977, 78, we began as an independent congregation, and we had about 15 members, and Anita Bryant came to town to speak at the Southern Baptist Convention, and 11 of our members went out and marched in that parade. I'm going to actually get around to telling you how you can live better and longer before the sermon ends, so just stay with me. We have participated in anti-nuclear, in pro-disarmament. We have participated in various marches and demonstrations through the years as a congregation, and we have participated a lot in a lot of the gay pride, gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender pride celebrations and marches, even though we're a very mixed congregation in our sexual orientation, which you can gather looking around on any Sunday morning. And some of you may wonder about why we've done that. And lots of times we have been doing it in the last minute, and sometimes we've gotten further ahead. I'm in trouble again. It seems to me like no matter how hard I try to get this thing done early, it's always in June, and we need to do something. This is the 25th anniversary, and we were voted this year from the Southern Voice survey to be the most welcoming congregation of lesbian, gays, and transgender persons in the metro Atlanta area. I've been trying to get this since they started offering the awards, and I went to several things, and Marshall went to some too. We'd be nominated and never get. This time I missed the whole thing, and we got it. Because I want us to be in this parade. We need some help. All we have right now is one rail convertible and 2 signs in the back. I can't walk and I can't handle, but I'll help put money into it, and people will help whatever we need. But we need a presence, strong presence in the parade. And I look to ride, either in a convertible or in an air-conditioned truck. That we need a truck to go with, and we need somebody to take and get our applications and license and all that stuff. You have to, for each vehicle you need that. If you just don't have a vehicle, you don't need it. But Nancy Towers offered use for red convertible. And it's just,
I get a date for Friday, that's my contention.
and it's just, however we decide to dress up for what we decide to do with that, and then we pick up the truck. Somebody afterwards, please take charges and some help me out, because I don't have the energy I had last year or the year before, whatever.
What's the date, Lanier?
It's the 25th of June. Sunday the 25th, and it's going to be a little different this year, and that confuses me also. Anything changes always confuses me. So having said that part of being in this congregation is to be active, I saw another article, and it said, going to church and are participating in social groups help people that have had heart attacks, they live long. And what the article also said, you didn't get credit for just going, but if you got on the board, they didn't for the gay pride parade, or you videotape, you got involved, kind of is what they're saying. And more research is coming out, first of all, in getting many of us, when we have various chronic illnesses or various kind of illnesses, that we need to get out and move around sooner. Think about life being projects. More and more they're getting us up. When I first had my first surgeries, I can remember, they kept me in bed for a week to have appendicitis, and then you really felt bad if you got up after you'd been in bed that long. And now they get you up pretty fast, even with heart transplants and things like that. It's amazing. We are built to move. We really are. We do better moving around. The other part is we do well in groups, but many of us have come out of intimate systems that some people call families. And some of these systems have been, and some of us have been in large groups that have been very toxic, dysfunctional, mean, hostile, and you leave there at meetings with your blood pressure up and all kinds of things, various biological and emotional and spiritual things happening to you. One of the things about this congregation as a project, and why we have a name out there called Existential, is a belief that the human community, consciousness is not that old in the human community. Awareness is not that old. When you read Greeks like Aristotle or Plato, or the Stoics, which I especially love, you get them looking at values and looking at what are we doing here and what life's all about, but the concept of being more aware of what's happening as it's happening, like being aware as you're sitting here. This is not all that old. It's just individuality. To be able to separate myself from a group is a fairly recent phenomenon in our human history. Many places, people cannot survive with that separation. And one of the worst things that could be done, which many of the American Indian tribes did, and helped get the Seminole Indians going, was that they would send you off. A punishment far worse in their eyes than death, or far worse than any kind of torturing or cutting off arms or all this kind of stuff, was to send someone away from the community. You could not survive as an individual. We hear about hermits and people like that. A few times people can do something, but basically, most human beings, and in many places, people cannot even conceptualize themselves in this planet right now of existing outside of their community. Over the last 100 years, so actually the last couple of 300 years, I think Kierkegaard had a lot to do with it. We've discovered and gotten increased the sense of individuality, and all the psychotherapy and all the psychologists moving around and all that has got us more aware about individuality. Many of us know about toxic groups. I know how. I can tell you how, and there's about 10 things you can do that will pretty much drive any partner, friend, or any group, can drive it out of existence or make it so painful that people will keep suffering constantly while they're in it, except those people who get off on suffering. And we'll love that. And sometimes I thought people who get off on suffering sometimes get control of a lot of groups. One of the things you can do is say one thing and do another. If you want to get somebody really mixed up, You say, I'm going out of the room, stay there. You say, I'm going to bring you some water, and you bring them some lemon juice. You say, I'm going to do anything. This will get you very confused. It's easy. The other thing in groups is often groups have these ideals, like love each other, care about each other, and then when we get into meetings or we get into hard decision-making processes, the groups suddenly start getting angry and people start getting critical. One of the difficult things I always had when I was in more traditional religious settings was a text that I liked. A text I liked for a while was, do unto others as they do unto you. That's a Freudian slip. I used to believe do unto others as they have done. I mean, I still can't say it. It's amazing. I'm having a hard time with that. It goes something like, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Right? Yeah. And some people say, do others for they do you. I mean, when you see that kind of thing about saying, love others, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And what I realize is often what is exciting or feels good to some people. Some people love conflict and love anger and rage and feeling bad. Yep. Because existentialism often calls attention to the darker side of life and the more difficult we have, it does not mean that we love feeling bad. But some people really get off on stirring up people. I know that. I mean, my experience tells me that. And what we attempt to do here is to look at, is there another way of being together? And beginning to pay attention to being in a community. Can we create a community that's safe? Can a bunch of people who come out of communities that are very dysfunctional get together and create something that they've only imagined in their head or in their heart? That's what we're raising the question about. And part of what we're discovering more and more in this kind of highly individualized country that we live in our culture, is that we have learned real well, and I am real pleased. I know how to help someone begin to get self-sufficient, to begin to pay attention to one's inner voices and one's brain, to begin to get empowered to live alone, by oneself, completely isolated. We know how to do this. I mean, it is possible to be able to kind of look after oneself. Now what many of us are beginning to ask is, how is it, between this tremendous aloneness kind of living, how is it that at the same time we can be in a community? And this is what this existential congregation is dedicated to. How is it that we deal with our differences, our disappointments, our hurts, our excitements, our joys, our changes with each other, and be able to still be in a community? And what being in a community is one of the joys of it is that we know each other's history. And you can say, well, that's terrible. I don't want people to know me back when my consciousness was pretty dim, about 20 or 30 years ago or what have you. But the other exciting part is that we see how each other changes. That we come from being in relationships to getting in the kind of relationships we want. We kind of come from being in where we want to participate or be empowered to speak, to move, to create, to do the kinds of things that we want to do. And I want to be in community. No longer will I say, oh, just being in an intimate system or being in a community has got to be terrible. I actually go to board meetings here and go home and my blood pressure is actually down. We can provide a blood pressure machine. There's not many places you can go to a business meeting or a departmental meeting, and where you will leave and actually feel like better than when you came. That's true. It's amazing. This is what this congregation's done, taking existentialism and applying it. And the fundamental application of it is you are where you are, and you are thinking what you're thinking, and you are feeling what you're feeling, regardless of what everybody else is feeling. If you're sitting here freezing to death right now. You are freezing to death, and no one tries, and we kind of keep reminding ourselves, we work hard to not try to talk you out of it. And say, yes, you are cold, we'll break the blanket, but we're going to turn the air conditioning up a little higher for those of us who are sweating like everybody. We rather just to validate what you are biologically experiencing. The next level is the feelings in one's heart. Is that some people can feel very happy about something happening, and some people feel very sad about it and say, that is possible. So part of being in an existential community is constantly dealing with a very paradox that our name implies, and some people think it's an oxymoron, that you can have existentialists and have community. They think early on when I was first running around, some people say, that's impossible. It is not impossible. It is possible for people to get together and to be healthy and respectful of each other and intentional. It takes a lot of intention, and we have worked a lot of years, and a lot of people have given of their spirit to make it possible for us to get to a point where we can operate with meetings and with events and decisions being made that doesn't leave us just exhausted. It's possible to do it. And I believe part of what the other part of being in this community, and once you recognize fundamental differences, then you also see fundamental similarities. It's amazing the amount of similarities we have. If I can recognize my differences, then I have permission to recognize my similarities. Like I think most people in the world want some kind of peace and comfort. I can recognize my similarities of how easy it is to identify with those people who are most like me. If I'm in a place of gathering and there's people of the same skin color as me, it gets very easy. You assume some kind of connection, even though intellectually I know, yeah, these people may be as distant from me as but it's easy. I mean, I just tell you wherever it takes a little effort. And the recent events with the Afro-American man that was an editor of a major magazine getting stopped and saying, well, basically, whether we like it or not, racism in this country trains many of us, most of us, to see something as different, a little scary. So I start behaving different. I avert my eyes. But what I've been paying attention to since that incident is how often when I'm walking around will I speak as friendly and make eye contact with African Americans as I will with someone that is from European descent. And it's amazing. That's how you start shifting, is being able to look at somebody, talk to them, and be able to appreciate our commonality. How important that is to be seen. And what we attempt to do here in this congregation, why I just enjoy coming here each Sunday, is we haven't broken many barriers, but one barrier we do have here is that we have Democrats and socialists. We also have Democrats and Republicans sitting here this morning. We've broken that, and we admit it, we can laugh and join each other. Another that we've done in life, the Pride Parade is so important, I think, for us and for speaking to the larger community, that we are one of the groups who have participated in this parade since its inception, off and on, depending on our energy at times. We are one of the groups that literally comes from a very varied community. As you sit around and look this morning, it is very varied here. Next week I'm going to be talking about, in a way I've never talked before, I guarantee you, on Father's Day I've never spoken. And I'm going to talk about what being a man and what it's like and why I'm here and why I'm in this community. But to look around in this community, we are already doing something phenomenal. Each woman in this congregation is willing to listen to us men, even though men have neglected them most of their lives, and listen to us in a different way. To believe here is one man that's going to say something a little different. And each man here is willing to be around some of is a gathering of some of the strongest women in the metro Atlanta area.
Yeah.
You know it. I mean, there are people here in leadership positions everywhere. Whether they're serving coffee and they're waiting, they know how they're in a leadership position doing things. It's not the designated leader I'm talking about, or the person who's president of the college or the business or the company or what have you. I'm talking about once you are grounded and know your truth, you are a power to be reckoned with. You all know that. Once you know you've got a right, Janet does a song, you've got a right, everybody's got a right to the tree of life. Once you know that, by God, I've got that right, there's something in your eye. I used to love Herman Hesse, and he talked about the market Cain. And I always assumed the market Cain, I don't know if you know about Cain and Abel. Fratricide's been going on for as long as human history's written. And Cain and Abel got into it, and this began to make me question about God, too. I never could understand this. It's been so long since I read them. One of them gave God meat, and he loved meat more than he liked vegetables. It's probably one of the early debates between vegetarians and the people that ate meat. This is basically what it's about, that God liked the offerings of animals. Now, this was a step up, you could say, from liking the offerings of human beings. What they said seminary. But basically, the one that brought vegetables turned out to be violent eating vegetables, which is another kind of argument about vegetarianism, whether it may be a pacifist or not, which I don't know it will do that. But there's different groups in this. But anyway, it ended up one of these brothers, Cain, slew Abel. And they said that Cain had a mark. And Herman Hesse said that mark was something like, I always thought after I read, it was kind of like the mark of intelligence. I thought it was like the mark of awareness. Right here, you kind of see people and you say, oh my God, that person's aware. I better be careful of them. They know what's going on. They read the Manchester Guardian. They know what's going on in the world. And I kind of think it is in the eyes. You see it. One thing that gay men have this down to a better than I have it. They do a lot with their eyes. And, they do. They make contact eyes. I have to be careful sometimes when somebody comes trying to pick them up, because I'm learning how to do more with my eyes, because our eyes, there's a lot there. Some people say you can see the soul and the spirit through the eyes, unless you meet a con artist. And they can make their eyes sparkle and be doing something else. But basically, you can take it with your eyes. You can see. You can be visible. That's the beginning. Many of us were in families where sometimes parts of us were visible, but our whole being wasn't visible. It's amazing. I hear stories over and over again where people achieve unbelievable things, and their mother or father is still upset with them because they didn't keep their room as clean as the people over at them. And saying, well, you weren't a good daughter because you did not clean your room when you were 15 years old, where you may have been getting all kinds of awards, you may have been running races, you may have been doing any number of things. One thing, you were staying alive. And sometimes you were helping clean the house and do all kinds of stuff, but you did not do that one thing. To be visible is to have myself wholly visible. For somebody to see, yeah, I screw up all of that stuff. Every one of us is not perfect. I love the idea of the one Indian tribe that when they make something, they always put a little black string or something imperfect they weave into it because they say it offends God or the gods in their culture. I've often thought, well, yeah, sure, all of us have flaws, because I don't want to offend, I don't want to bring down the wrath of beings that are upset about whether you bring an animal or grain to offer to them. I don't want to get into that kind of thing. I want to be able to be visible. To be visible. You know what it's like to make anybody, well, I don't know, maybe you don't. Some of y'all maybe have a higher level than I am, but when you're real upset with somebody and well, males may know this more than females. I don't know if women know this as much. I know I have it down here. Pouting. Pouting is a way of trying to make somebody invisible. You just act like you're not there. They say all kinds of things. You don't respond. That's the way. I'm not going to see you. You're walking the room, you're wearing red and orange and purple and green, and you've got all kinds of perfume that I can smell 100 yards away, and I still just act like you're not there. I won't see you. What that does is string something nice inside of me. What this congregation attempts to do is say we can see, and we say, yeah, it's all right to stumble and fall. And if you do experiments and you have projects, some of them fail. In fact, I think most of them fail. Am I going to look at that? I'm going to do something I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to think about that. And I may learn. They say you can learn from your mistakes, but at a certain age, I'm tired of learning from my mistakes. You can also learn from your successes. Like, how did that happen? How did it happen? It just went different. What did I do differently to shift what happened in my family or at work? It's powerful if you can speak from that grounded place, and I believe people know. Sometimes when you speak from that place, people get upset with you and angry at you, and they feel bad, and I can't help that. I will help empower anyone, but to give up your power will not work. To give it up, it will not work. I cannot become less strong. And part of what this congregation is about is people to be as strong and as creative and to move in the world with projects with as much energy as you can. And lots of times we come back all battered. We've fallen down and we didn't get there. And to be in a place where it's all right. Because whether we like it or not, one of the concepts that floats around in this country, and I don't know enough about other cultures, is fairly easy. It gets so easy, it's almost next to getting up, is blaming the victim. Blaming the victim. What did you do wrong to get yourself in that place? Somebody hurts you, or you do not get what you want. What did you do wrong? Now, there's another thing called paranoia. Is what did everybody else do wrong that I couldn't get anywhere? And that's just as extreme. But what we hear often is we even do it with illnesses, which is terribly cruel. One of the cruelest things, we have certain genetic patterns in us, and we can extend them. We can improve our function with them, but we cannot change. If people in your family have gotten breast cancer, then there is a possibility higher than those that haven't had families with that history to get breast cancer. I do not believe it has always something to do with one's psyche and one's health and one's love of life. Things happen to us that they're biological. Some of us are also have things happen that we happen to be brighter than other people, and that can be difficult. For a long time, I thought the mark of Cain was being bright. It's difficult living in this world with awareness. The upside of awareness is I get to enjoy the flavors and the richness of people around me. The downside is I know what's going on. And that gets tiring. I just seem not to know what's going on sometimes. It's amazing. I don't want to hear a lot of what's going on, but you cannot not do that. You experience it. You know what's happening. If you get aware, you're aware. You're aware when people are in pain. I cannot deny that there is a reality of homelessness in this society. And every time I lay down in my bed, I think this is absolutely solved. That is any starvation in the world. Dean's working with a group called Results. There's enough food, it's house distributed. It's like there's enough money, it's house distributed. I get tired of being aware of that, but I will not give up awareness not to see that. Because there are some things we can do and some not do. The other part of being in this congregation is to recognize we are not gods and goddesses. The desire to be omnipotent, to know everything and be perfect. It's not possible. We are not. If they exist, and they may exist in some ways for different ones under different names and what have you, that's not, I don't have foresight to know what's going to happen. I do know if you jump off of a building that gravity will take you down, and I don't think any god or goddess is going to interrupt that process, or I don't know where it's going to interrupt in any place that I've been. But I do not know what's going to happen in the future. Many of I like to think I do. Don't you like to think you don't know what's going to happen? Oh, this is terrible, this is going to happen. It always surprises me. One of the most courageous acts I've seen, or there's lots of people making courageous acts. One that got noted was when Bush decided to resign from the NRA. I think that's a profound, powerful, courageous thing that happened. And I'm pleased about that. That's why I don't like to make stereotypes about people. You never know. What he did was give permission for some very moderate political people in our country to say, no, this is too far. That's too much. You don't go around just calling people because they work for the government Nazis. You don't say they're part of Gestapo and all this kind of stuff. You don't do that. With police that protect us and FBI agents, Secret Service, they may have screwed up and done some pretty terrible things, and they can. But that is not most government employees, and many of you all are sitting here. You work for the state of Georgia or the CDC or what have you, or the state college system or the university system. Most people that are employed, they're honest, as they said in the opening chapter. That was powerful what that man did. He did something that allowed people to set boundaries. And you and I, it may be boundaries that we've already set, but that's the kind of thing that existentialism allows me. And this is what Jean-Paul Sartre kept saying over and over. It's one of the most optimistic philosophies that have been upon the face of the earth. And yet people will read and they say you deal with all these darker subjects like evil and meanness and all this kind of stuff, and why it is optimistic. And he talked about a person being a coward and saying, well, because a person committed a cowardly act did not make them, in their essence, coward. That decision was cowardly, but a person wasn't essentially a coward. And that you could make other acts. You could make heroic acts. And what I believe, and I have seen over and over and over in my life, and what I always approach someone with, and that's why I like the civil rights movement, and what it taught Martin Luther King Jr. taught me very early on. Very early on. If I can keep my mind clear of perceptions about what I think you are, by how your hair is arranged, by who you're holding hands with, by how you're dressed, if I can keep my mind open, there is a great possibility that person is not as what I think they are. The other part of it is to also recognize that people do change. They take heroic statements and unpopular statements. And a man or woman who may have all their life gone along with the system may at one point, at some time in their life, say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I believe that's possible. And I think that makes me one of the most naive and one of the most optimistic people walking the face of this earth. Because I believe that. I believe I have changed, and I believe you've changed. This is the other reason I get out and like to march and celebrate. That change has already taken place. This group could not have existed, perhaps would not have existed before Stonewall. It wouldn't have been safe for us to be out this much, many of us in this room. Gatherings didn't take place anywhere like this. Lots of things happening. These demonstrations and these celebrations and protests have happened. If it hadn't been, I think, the civil rights movement began to really open it up. Because in the kind of thing, what you do when you participate in a celebration or you get out there, it's not that I think anything's going to change the world necessarily. Even in the Vietnam area with all the peace demonstrations I participated in, it wasn't that. What I really believe about it is if those of us who have the strength, either because we're crazy or because we like attention or whatever, have the strength to get out on the streets and say, I disagree with this, there's hundreds of them who cannot, some will not, some cannot. They'll lose their livelihood or their whole community or what have you. It makes it a little easier for that person to live. It also, I feel like, being out and around makes it possible for people to say, my goodness, they're human. They have a sense of humor. They love their children. They like their institution. And they don't like change either all the time when it makes things inconvenient for them. We're human when we get rid of that otherness, that somebody's really other. And I believe I listen to the news and I watch what's going on in Sarajevo. I watch what's going on in the former Soviet Union. I look what's going on in California. We're trying to do stuff with Spanish and get rid of do horrible things out there to immigrants, which, how do you think, how many American Indians we got sitting in here this morning? Any American Indians? Anybody got 1/8, 1/16? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where do you think the rest of us came from? How did we get here? Do you think some angel just picked you up out of Europe and brought you here, or picked you up out of Africa and put you in chains and brought you here? No. We came here, we're the immigrants they're talking about. We're the people that are unwashed, dirty. We spoke a different language from the Indians. A far different language. It's amazing how we keep talking about immigrants, and I think, well, that's what my great-grandparents were. That's what my grandparents were. Some of us, that's what our parents were. And if I start saying, how many people sitting in this room was born in the state of Georgia? Would you raise your hands? Okay, the rest of us are foreigners. That's what they said in the Civil Rights Movement. You come from another county, you were a foreigner. It's amazing. If you come from another neighborhood, it's foreigners. These foreigners are messing up our society. It scared me to come down south. Every time I realize the foreigner is somebody I don't know by name almost. I'm southeast. If you don't know them by name, that's pretty much. It's amazing. In the midst of that, what we are trying to do at a level, and you can say it's not much, but it's a whole lot for me, for us to sit here this morning and have the kind of services and the kind of community we have that we're working on. We've come a long way just to deal a little bit with gender issues and a little bit with sexual orientation and a little bit with class. Because our congregation, we haven't. It's difficult. We've extended the class range of what we operate at. There is a class system in the society, and afterwards you can go down and talk and look. And I have experienced a lot around class stuff over the years. Half my struggles with the Unitarians have been a class struggle. I came out of a proletariat background, and it affects me how I see things. And I get angry when I see privilege and stuff, and rather than, if I could get less angry and understood that better, then I could assess my chances of survival or getting more from the system. I couldn't get as much from the system as many of my colleagues. And part of it was that I came out as a pretty called proletariat. You don't ask for much. You try to stay out of the way and stay invisible. And just, it doesn't occur to you to get scholarship because you don't deserve it. You're supposed to work for everything you get. It doesn't occur to you that there's all these resources out there that the more people have, the more they get. That's not the proletarian kind of thinking. The proletariat's kind of like, you've got to just survive, and you're grateful. You're grateful that somebody sees that you're hungry, or you're grateful that you can pay your mortgage payments and you can have a house and a home and you've got food coming in. That's what it's about. It's not about knowing about these other riches. Class struggles. We do a little bit here. And it means we have, and each time we do something, we stretch ourselves. People, I keep wanting to go out and talk with more people about what happens in this congregation, why it can happen other places. One of the things is every one of you here are stretching yourselves. Many of you are stretching yourself to sit here and listen to one more male talk about things. And I'm grateful for that love and respect. We're stretching ourselves to sit with people who are sexual orientation is different. And there's all this mythology and all this pair of differences. People are killing each other right this moment around the world, all over, because they're a little different just in their cultural or in their ethnic backgrounds or in their tribal traditions or in their religious things. Muslims, Christians. All kinds of people. Right this moment, people are out shooting each other, little kids, everything, just because they're different. And I'll tell you, anytime a group of people can gather and acknowledge that we're different, we don't have to deny it, because you can get all kinds of groups together to deny it. But anytime we'll acknowledge that this is something different being created, and you and I are making it possible. For you to sit here in this seat this morning, you're making it possible for something different. And I come here some Sundays just very exciting thing. We haven't got as wide a range as I'd like, and all of us dream of being more. To be more, and I'll keep dreaming till I die and hope my children and children's children can do that. But this idea that we are human beings, and that takes precedent over race, language, color of skin, gender, sexual orientation, anything you can imagine that separates us. There's something higher than that. Or more than that. I'm more than that. I'm more than my whiteness or my maleness or my baldness or whatever I am. I'm more than all those things. And every one of us, and we know this. And that's power. That's why I look forward to us being in parades and being in demonstrations and keep going there. And one of the things we're going to start with the change in our services in August is we're going to invite more people into our congregation and let them experience us. We've had John Lewis, we've had Van Moore, we've had Maynard Jackson, we've had various people around, and we're going to have more people speaking here to let people see what's happening here and let us experience that and move in to be more in the community, more out. Spring has sprung. It is spring. Part of what I want to tell you is I'm getting older and I have lots of limitations, but I am younger in my spirit and heart than I am then. That old song Bob Dylan used to sing, I'm younger than that now. That's my theme song. I am younger than that now, you all, and we're just beginning. It's great to see all of you. It's great to see all of you. Scott, could you do that chicken song for us? Did you go out to the sky?
Stand by.
Okay. When life gets at its ultimate lowest, and you just can't move, this is a song that'll get you through a little bit of it. Okay, Scott? This is our closing words and our closing words. Thank you, Scott.
Never thought I'd be doing this during a worship service.
Well,